love the Eagles as much as we do, then hit that subscribe button and stick with us at Eagles Nest News for all the drama, updates, and hype all season long. It's been one of the off-season's most whispered stories, a topic that has quietly, yet persistently, circled through the locker rooms, sports bars, and Twitter feeds without ever fully breaking into mainstream headlines. Josh Sweat, the defensive end who once terrorized quarterbacks in Philadelphia, has recently made comments that are now sending shockwaves through the NFL community and especially among Eagles fans, who've been left to reconcile what might have been. According to sources close to Sweat, there's a deep, simmering regret over the decision to leave the Eagles, a team that was more than just a uniform to him. It was a home, a proving ground, a place where his talents were not only recognized, but nurtured and amplified. The discussions inside the team circle suggest that Sweat's departure, at the time, seemed like a calculated move to chase bigger contracts, new opportunities, and perhaps a fresh start elsewhere. But hindsight, as it often does, paints a far more complex picture. Insiders hint that Sweat's comments are not just idle nostalgia. They carry a heavy undertone of reflection and acknowledgement of misconnections, moments, and opportunities that cannot be reclaimed. There's also chatter that teammates, old coaches, and even front office personnel have received messages from Sweat that hint at a desire to reconnect, or at least reconcile, with what was left behind, sparking speculation that his professional journey may circle back to Philadelphia in unexpected ways. The rumor mill isn't stopping there, and every casual conversation in Philadelphia's sports scene seems to carry an undertone of what if. Analysts are already picking apart Sweat's career trajectory, dissecting his performance metrics from his time with the Eagles versus his current team, drawing comparisons, and creating a narrative that feeds into the broader story of players regretting early career moves. Fans, naturally, are torn between excitement and skepticism, flooded with wouldn't it be something if scenarios, imagining what a reunited Sweat and Eagles defense could accomplish. Some whispers suggest that the regret goes beyond mere nostalgia. It's about missed championship aspirations, unrealized potential, and the sense that the chemistry he once had with the Eagles' defensive line cannot be replicated elsewhere. Social media discussions have turned into debates, with some arguing that Sweat's skills may have plateaued since leaving Philadelphia, while others contend that personal growth and external experience could make his return even more impactful. The layers of speculation are deep, encompassing contractual nuances, locker room culture, fan sentiment, and the subtle psychology of professional athletes, all culminating in a story that is as much about human emotion as it is about tackles, sacks, and statistics. The murmurs continue, growing louder with each passing day, leaving the sports world both intrigued and impatient for the next development. There's also an undercurrent of tension in these whispers, a sense that Sweat's revelation might have been strategically timed or carefully worded, intended to spark dialogue, stir curiosity, or even influence negotiations quietly unfolding behind closed doors. Conversations in the sports media community hint that Sweat's comments, though framed as personal reflection, could be part of a broader narrative strategy, signaling openness to a return or subtly nudging the Eagles' management into reconsideration. Some insiders believe this is more than mere speculation. It's a calculated ripple in a pond where every wave carries potential consequences for team dynamics, contract discussions, and public perception. Fans in Philadelphia, always passionate, have begun weighing every angle, analyzing interviews, scrutinizing social media posts, and debating whether Sweat's regret is genuine, performative, or a mix of both. Meanwhile, former teammates reportedly have mixed reactions, some amused, some empathetic, and some cautiously optimistic about the possibility of reconnecting with a player whose presence was once electric on the field. As the rumor gains momentum, sports commentators are noting that Sweat's candidness taps into a larger narrative familiar in the NFL: the allure of home teams, the magnetic pull of loyalty, and the complicated calculus players face when balancing career advancement against emotional ties. Each subtle hint or ambiguous statement is being dissected, amplified, and speculated upon, making the story as much a social phenomenon as a sports headline, demonstrating how a single revelation can reverberate far beyond locker rooms into fan culture, media cycles, and even contract negotiations in ways that few anticipated. Adding fuel to the fire, there's talk of the Eagles' front office quietly acknowledging Sweat sentiments without making any public comment, a strategic move that keeps options open while managing expectations. Sports media insiders have noted that this silence is telling. It's a carefully measured response that allows the narrative to develop organically, keeping both fans and rival teams guessing. Analysts speculate that if Sweat truly desires a return, it would not only impact roster planning, but could also influence draft strategy, salary cap management, and future free agent acquisitions. Meanwhile, fans are reacting with a mix of hope, skepticism, and nostalgia, sharing clips of past Sweat highlights, debating whether he has maintained peak performance, and even humorously speculating on his locker placement if he were to come back. The social media ecosystem thrives on these rumors, with threads gaining traction almost instantaneously and turning into virtual debates about loyalty, career choices, and player legacy. It's fascinating to observe how a single statement from Sweat, ostensibly personal in nature, can cascade into a multi-layered narrative affecting perceptions, strategy, and fan culture. Conversations within sports media are increasingly focused on the emotional intelligence aspect of athletes, how personal feelings, regrets, and loyalty intertwine with career decisions in ways that statistics alone cannot capture. Sweat's admission, therefore, becomes not just a rumor, but a case study in athlete psychology, highlighting the human side of professional sports, the emotional stakes involved, and the delicate balance between ambition and allegiance. The energy around this story continues to grow, fueled by speculation, historical performance, and the ever-present desire of fans to witness storylines that feel cinematic yet are grounded in reality. Rumors also suggest that Sweat's reflections might be influencing his current performance and behavior on the field, creating subtle changes in his play style, leadership approach, or communication with teammates. Analysts and insiders are closely monitoring film, noting differences that could be interpreted as either maturity or distraction, feeding the narrative that Sweat is internally negotiating between past and present affiliations. Some former Eagles teammates have reportedly noticed messages, calls, or hints of nostalgia in conversations with Sweat, sparking curiosity about whether these signals are intentional, manipulative, or genuine expressions of regret. These interpersonal dynamics, while not visible to the public eye, play a crucial role in shaping the rumor landscape, as subtle signals are quickly magnified and interpreted in myriad ways. Social media, as always, accelerates the spread of these interpretations, with fans speculating about hidden meanings, leaked hints, and potential outcomes, all while amplifying the drama in ways traditional reporting cannot. There's also discussion about how Sweat's public reflection could pressure both current and former teams into strategic responses, potentially influencing trades, practice squad decisions, or even coaching tactics. Sports psychologists observing the situation point to the complexity of emotional attachment, professional identity, and decision-making under public scrutiny, noting that Sweat's regret is a microcosm of the larger human experience in high-stakes professional sports. Each whisper, hint, and speculation contributes to a narrative that is part rumor, part strategic positioning, and part human story, captivating fans, analysts, and insiders alike in a continually evolving drama. Even more intriguing are the subtle references Sweat has made in interviews and podcasts, phrases carefully chosen that seem innocuous at first but gain weight in the context of fan speculation and insider chatter. Observers note that while he never explicitly mentions returning to the Eagles, his word choices, tone, and timing suggest a layered communication strategy, simultaneously nostalgic, regretful, and subtly provocative. Sports media commentators have dissected these statements, highlighting patterns that suggest more than casual reflection, and the narrative has been amplified through blogs, vlogs, and online forums where every nuance is debated and analyzed. The impact of these statements is magnified because Sweat's career has been closely followed since his draft, with fans emotionally invested in his journey, successes, and setbacks. The combination of performance history, fan sentiment, and personal regret creates a fertile ground for speculation that thrives independently of official confirmation. Meanwhile, rival teams are quietly observing the situation, calculating the potential strategic ramifications of Sweat's public reflections, and considering how they might influence their own defensive plans if a return were to materialize. The rumor, therefore, is multidimensional. It exists simultaneously in fan spaces, media cycles, locker rooms, and strategic calculations, blurring the line between personal regret and professional leverage. Each additional statement or appearance by Sweat feeds this ecosystem, intensifying speculation, fueling debates, and ensuring that the story remains alive, vibrant, and impossible to ignore in the ever-watchful eyes of the NFL world. As the offseason continues, the layers of speculation surrounding Josh Sweat only deepen, with insiders hinting that his regret might translate into concrete actions sooner than anyone expects. Sources close to the situation suggest that Sweat has been quietly in touch with former coaches and staff members from the Eagles organization, navigating conversations that are framed as personal check-ins, but carry an unmistakable undertone of professional curiosity. These subtle communications have not gone unnoticed, as sports media outlets, analysts, and fans alike dissect every social media interaction, every interview clip, and every offhand comment for signs of a potential return. Meanwhile, rival teams are aware that the buzz around Sweat statements could serve as a leverage point in negotiations, creating strategic tension that extends far beyond the surface-level story of a player expressing regret. Analysts have noted that the interplay of public sentiment, team strategy, and player psychology forms a complex ecosystem in which Sweat's every move is scrutinized, amplified, and interpreted in multiple ways simultaneously. Fans continue to fuel this speculation, sharing highlights, analyzing stats, and debating the potential impact of a reunited Sweat with a defensive line that once thrived on his energy, skill, and ability to disrupt opposing quarterbacks. The story, while rooted in personal reflection, has grown into a multifaceted narrative encompassing emotion, strategy, and the perpetual fascination with what could have been in professional sports. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Insiders also hint at subtle shifts in Sweat's media appearances, suggesting that his statements are carefully curated to convey just enough ambiguity to keep fans, analysts, and rival teams guessing. Observers note that the way he phrases reflections, pauses during interviews, and chooses words carries weight far beyond the immediate context, fueling speculation while maintaining plausible deniability. Analysts are particularly fascinated by how this dynamic illustrates the intersection of performance, psychology, and media strategy in modern professional sports, where athletes must navigate a delicate balance between personal authenticity and strategic communication. Fans are captivated, sharing clips, dissecting phrasing, and constructing elaborate theories about possible returns, trades, or reconciliations. Meanwhile, sports executives are reportedly taking note, assessing how these public reflections could influence team morale, market perception, and future roster decisions. There's also discussion about how Sweat's comments might be used to subtly influence current teammates, perhaps instilling confidence, motivation, or uncertainty, depending on the interpretation. The rumor landscape continues to expand, encompassing personal, professional, and social dimensions that intersect in ways that are both unpredictable and fascinating. In essence, Sweat's reflections are not just a story. They are a multi-layered phenomenon, combining human emotion, strategic maneuvering, fan culture, and professional implications into a continuously evolving narrative that dominates discussion in multiple spheres of the NFL ecosystem. Adding even more intrigue, sources hint that Sweat may have engaged in private conversations with former Eagles teammates, conversations that are framed as casual check-ins but are interpreted by insiders as explorations of what a reunion could look like. These dialogues are described as subtle, laden with references to past chemistry, shared victories, and unfulfilled potential, creating a rumor ecosystem in which fans and media alike eagerly piece together fragments of information. Analysts are paying attention not just to the content of these communications, but also to timing, frequency, and context, interpreting each as a potential signal regarding Sweat's intentions. Meanwhile, Philadelphia's fan base has become highly engaged, creating social media threads, memes, and speculative analyses, treating every hint as a potential breadcrumb leading to a future return. There's also commentary from former coaches and team insiders, who note that the interplay between personal regret, professional ambition, and team dynamics is a complex factor often overlooked in mainstream discussions of player movement. The combination of nostalgia, strategic messaging, and emotional complexity creates a story that is highly malleable, adaptable, and persistent, feeding the rumor mill and maintaining public interest. Sweat's reflections have thus transcended mere personal sentiment, evolving into a multidimensional narrative with implications across performance, strategy, fan engagement, and media discourse, illustrating the deep entanglement of human emotion and professional sports in ways that continue to fascinate and captivate audiences. As speculation intensifies, some insiders suggest that Sweat's comments might even influence the Eagles' broader strategic planning, particularly regarding defensive line depth, free agent considerations, and salary cap allocations. Analysts point out that teams are acutely aware of public sentiment, player psychology, and the potential for reunions, and even unconfirmed rumors can shape decision-making processes at the executive level. Fans, for their part, continue to debate hypothetical scenarios, imagining a defensive line reinvigorated by Sweat's return and the potential ripple effects on team chemistry, game outcomes, and playoff aspirations. Media outlets are similarly engaged, producing analysis, op-eds, and commentary that feed the rumor ecosystem, ensuring that every statement by Sweat or reaction by the Eagles is magnified and dissected. The intersection of personal reflection, strategic ambiguity, and public perception creates a narrative that is both compelling and persistent, ensuring continuous engagement across multiple channels. Meanwhile, Sweat himself appears aware of the buzz, maintaining a careful balance in his public appearances, hinting at regret without making definitive commitments. This delicate interplay of emotion, speculation, and strategy exemplifies the modern sports narrative, in which a single player's reflections can reverberate far beyond personal experience to influence media cycles, fan communities, and professional planning. The story, as it continues to unfold, highlights the intricate dance between human emotion and professional ambition, keeping all eyes on Sweat and Philadelphia. Even more compelling is the notion that Sweat's regret may be influencing not only his own trajectory, but also the locker room culture of his current team, as insiders suggest subtle changes in communication, motivation, and leadership. Observers note that when a high-profile player reflects publicly on past affiliations, it can ripple through teammates' perceptions, affecting morale, cohesion, and competitive mindset. Analysts have remarked that Sweat's reflections are a prime example of how personal narrative and public persona intersect in professional sports, shaping both internal and external dynamics in ways that are difficult to quantify. Fans, ever eager for storylines, have latched onto this, speculating not only on a return, but also on the broader implications for team chemistry, performance, and strategy. Social media threads are rife with debates about loyalty, regret, and the psychological impact of player movement, feeding the rumor machine and maintaining engagement. Meanwhile, rival teams quietly observe, assessing how the narrative could influence competitive advantage, trade opportunities, and market perception. Sweat's situation is increasingly treated as more than a personal reflection. It is a dynamic, multi-layered narrative affecting perception, strategy, and anticipation across the NFL ecosystem. The ongoing buzz demonstrates the power of human emotion, strategic ambiguity, and media amplification to transform a simple admission of regret into a story with far-reaching implications, keeping fans, analysts, and insiders alike deeply invested in every unfolding detail. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be Be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.